We are live. Okay, I'm Danielle Elise. I am the co-founder of All Black Creatives and super excited to be streaming today with Ruben.
Body, we are live.
That's so weird. Sorry, I had like a whole other thing open. Anyway, so glad that you're here today. Also with us, she's going to pop on in a little bit, but another member of our team who's also in UX design, which is going to be really fun. It's going to hop in and give us, some fun questions for Ruben. If this is you guys' first time tuning into ABC Studios, we do chats monthly with creators and creatives, and this is maybe our fourth or fifth time, so newish, but not totally new. We're excited. We love it. We kind of just say it's basically like, kind of a kickback. We do sometimes a fireside chat with a bunch of creatives, and other times we do what Ruben's going to be doing today, which is showing us like, hey, this is what I'm up to. This is what I'm doing. Here's a little bit about my work. And so super happy to have you today, Ruben. Please, if you would, just tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell everybody your name, all of it, what you're up to.
Yeah, definitely. Well, first of all, thank you so much for the invite. I was very thrilled that I got this invitation from you. First time I heard from ABC was from Liz, a person from Adobe, actually, that talked to me about this. And then I met Danielle, so here we are. So my name is Ruben Cespedes. I'm a senior product designer. I've been doing design since 2004, 2005. I have worked with amazing companies from New York City. That's where I started, my career. I went to college, and then from there started going into different roles as a designer. Then finally finding love with the web and mobile and everything. So then I started shifting from graphic design to UX and product design. And here I am today, 16 years later. Currently, I work at Dell Technologies, which is awesome. I get to work with really, really cool people, and also really advanced technology and really complex, solving really tough and complex problems. But yeah, that's who I am. I also have a community of 70,000 followers on my Instagram account, which is UI UX Creative, where I teach a lot about, where I teach a lot about design, principles of design, fundamentals of design. Also a lot about UX stuff, because people nowadays want to make the switch from design to UX, or they want to do both. And also, I've been doing this my whole life. Like I said, it's 16 years. So back when I was 23.
Ruben, you look 16.
I look 16, but I'm 37.
All right. 37.
But yeah, I've been in the business for a long time now, I would say.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love that. Thanks for that awesome intro. That was great. I had no idea that you had been in design for that long, honestly.
Yes.
So you've gotten to see the field evolve quite a bit then.
Quite a bit. From not having wireframes and stuff like that, to now we have all these applications and everything. Remember back in 2004 or 5, if I wanted to learn something, I had to learn it in a book, because back then we didn't have YouTube, we didn't have Skillshare, none of that. So it was just a lot of hard work that we had to put in back then, and now it's amazing how evolved everything, not just for learning, but also technology and all of that, technology wise. Fun fact about me is I'm a designer, but also I know how to do UX, of course, and product design, but also I can code. I know how to code. I learned back in 2007. And because of that, it opened so many doors for me, as far as job wise and also understanding things, how things work from the engineer perspective and all of that. But yeah, fun fact about me is like
that is a fun fact. I mean, that's kind of awesome.
I'm a designer who knows how to code.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. I feel like a lot of times people who are kind of like design minded kind of try out lots of different things. So it's like maybe go like through some kind of like coding boot camp or something and then land in UX or like, you know, vice versa. So
And just to clarify, I get this question all the time, like, do I need to code in order to be a successful or a great UX designer? You don't need to code. You don't need to have to code. But if you know how to code, that will give you an advantage. That will give you a better perspective on how things are built. So that way you make better decisions. But you don't have to code.
No, I love that. Okay, so can you tell, for some of our viewers who are brand new to UX, can you give us one sentence of what UX design is? I know we're going to jump into like some deeper Q&A, like a little bit later on, but you're also going to show us some of your work. So I want people to be able to look at it and kind of understand what they're looking at and, you know, how UX design is, you know, what really is that? So give us I
always like to give this example. Like UX is, of course, is user experience, right? Imagine you're building a house. The first thing that you see when building a house, where things are going to go and everything, it's kind of have a blueprint of the house, right? It's having those wireframes and create those prototypes just to imagine like the house. If it's going to be 2 or 3 stories, and if it's going to have X, Y, and Z, where is it going to do? How people are going to go into the stairs and go to the left or to the right. So it's kind of like that, but in our world, in the digital world, it's exactly that. It's just creating that experience even before you even start, you know, creating or even designing. It's kind of like having that foundation of, you know, create that mentality of like, once you walk into a house, what's the first thing that you want the user to see and to, you know, to go to left, to go to the right. So we create that path. And that's what UX is. UX allows us to create that experience, to have that frictionless, you know, experience. You don't want it to bump into something. You want it to be frictionless. You want it to go on from point A to point B smoothly. And that's what we do as UX designers.
Very cool. Okay, so you're basically like a digital architect.
Exactly.
Okay, that's cool. So if I'm looking at an app, can I see the UX, or is it something that I feel? Like, is it something that because when I'm walking into the house, I'm like, okay, cool. Like, this house feels good. Like, it's easy to find things, you know, like I feel like this house has good vibes. So if we're talking about it in like an architectural type of way, the UX designer, are they designing what I'm feeling or like what I'm seeing when I'm entering the house?
Well, it all depends on what kind of product we're talking about here. It could go left or right, but this UX should be seamless, meaning that if I go as a user and I wanted to make a payment and it's hard for me to find the payment button, that is a bad UX, right? But then if you have it in front of you, it's very clear, it has enough contrast, it has proximity text that explains what it is. It's seamless. You're not going to have a friction between the payment that you're going to do. You're going to go straight to it, and they're not going to even see the UX. And that's what the beauty of the UX is.
Yeah.
They're going to go in and they're going to go flawlessly, and they're going to love that app or whatever. It was so easy to do. It's so intuitive. That's the kind of UX that you want to have in your product.
Okay. Totally understand. There are absolutely some apps that I love because it's super easy to navigate and I can find things. And then there are other apps where I'm just like, I wish I didn't have to use this. Like my banking app is like, it's trash. Like I can never find anything. And I really feel like it can be a lot easier to use. So that's something okay.
That's something that we do an analysis. We compare data. We kind of like, of course, data, it's an ally in the UX world, like user research and all of that, because they complement each other. Like user research, UX, and also UI design and visuals. They complement each other on everything that you need to do. It's not like it's not like separated. It's not like, oh, I'm going to do the UX and then that's it. Then you deal with the design and then you deal with the development. No, everything is like concatenated. Everything works together. So when we talk about a product or an app or something like that, we find like constantly a product is never done. Like I say this all the time. A product is never done because you have to adapt to technology, adapt to circumstances that are happening in the world or whatever, and adapt to that particular, scenario. Like for instance, like if they wanted to improve certain aspects of that particular app that you just mentioned, they would have to do an analysis about it. Like what's happening? Yeah. Why is Danielle so frustrated with it? And then if you get enough research about the same thing, people complaining about the same thing. So it's a problem that can cost a lot of money to that company because you're going to get frustrated and you're going to leave that company. Yeah. But then if you fix it, then somebody else is going to find something else. And that's how products are always evolving and always getting better and better because they need to adapt to the users, to the customers.
I love that. So the UX designer has like a very, very important job, honestly. They're why we love or we hate the products that we use every day. Okay, I like that.
Yep.
For sure. So I wanted to go ahead and let everyone know who is viewing right now that we have some fun swag to give away today from Adobe. So we have some awesome t-shirts, and we also have like little Adobe XD swag bags that come with some cool fun stuff. And also, drum roll, I'll do it for myself. We have 1 year of Adobe Creative Cloud that you can win if you participate in the Behance chat. So that means if you don't already have a free Behance account, just sign up for one, come back to the chat on Behance and hop in, introduce yourself, let us know something about you so we can see your name, we can see that you're there, and whenever we do our giveaways, you can be part of that. So stay tuned, stay active, stay in the chat, free stuff. Awesome. Nice. Okay, well, Ruben, I'd love for us to see some of your work, some of what you've been working on. I know you just moved to Dell, right?
Yes.
Which congrats on that.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, for sure. So we'd love to see some of your UX design, something that you're proud of, that you've worked on, whatever.
Yep.
Show us what it is. Show us your stuff.
All right. Let me share my screen right now.
Okay.
Share my screen. Bear with me just a second.
Yeah, take your time.
Okay. Okay. Can you guys see my screen? Hello? Looks like we lost connection.
You. Can you see me?
Yes.
Okay. Once you share your screen, I'm gonna disappear so that people can see it more close up.
Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna do it again.
That's super, super, super weird. I don't know what's happening, so hold on.
Do you want me to share the link, and then I can walk you through?
Yeah, we can totally do that. Oh, wait. Yeah, go ahead and share the link with me here.
I do it right now. There you go.
All right, cool. All right, I'll pull it up and...
Yeah, this always happens.
So wild, so wild. I mean, okay. Okay, can you see it?
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely. So, should I start?
Yep, and you can just tell me when you want me to flip to the next screen for you.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you're going to scroll down, but let me just talk a little bit about what happened here. This is Ethic. Ethic is a full service marketing company, and they found me through my Instagram account. This is not UX, but this is just one of the latest design jobs I did for this particular client. So this client came to me asking, like they wanted to do a rebrand of Ethic, right? And in order for me to understand and kind of like start the process, every project is different. So whether if you're going to do extended rebrand or just a minimal, or just this is kind of like a minimal where I created a visual identity and also created some brand guidelines because the client needed some visual identity. Also, they wanted some typography, some colors. They wanted something new, something refreshed. So one of the questions that I ask all the time when doing a rebrand, in this case, Ethic, it's like, why are we rebranding? This is kind of like the question. Why are we rebranding? Is it because the client is not communicating the right message? Or is it something else, right? In this case, the client wanted to refresh their brand and also wanted to define colors, typography, and kind of like a message, right? So one of the three strong words I would say to identify Ethic was like bold. Like they really wanted to be bold, passionate, and also modern, right? So if you scroll down, Danielle, I can show you the next slide, which is kind of like how I came about Ethic. In my
Do you want me to
case,
stay
yeah, you can stay on that section there. I remember working on this project. Depending on the client, of course, you have to take different approaches. In this case, I decided to go and do my research, kind of like do a mood board where I have all the ideas put together. I'm, listening to the client, what they need and also what they want. But at the same time, I'm doing my research on the side and kind of like thinking about, bold, passionate, strong. And then it started like sketching ideas out, putting things together with all those words and what the marketing is and what marketing means on their company. And started like dribbling and sketching things out. I have like four different ideas sketched out. Then I started like working on Illustrator, looking for typography, typefaces, playing with typefaces. In this case, we ended up like using Hebo typeface, which is amazing because it has different kinds of fonts like black, bold, regular, light, italics, and everything. And then we experiment a lot with different colors and stuff that they wanted to experiment, like with different blues, different tones of teals, in this case, different tonalities of other colors. So if you scroll down, Let's see what else we have. This is kind of like to showcase the teal color that we have, and also the way I came up with this kind of like section for iconography for their brand, right? This is part of like the ethic. It's part of the E, and then I just flipped that and make kind of like a pattern so they can see how their brand, the visual brand works. So if you keep scrolling down, let's see what else we have in this. This is kind of like a stationery where you see your letterhead, your envelopes, your business cards, and all of that, just to see how that looks. Of course, this is just kind of like the final version of it, but I definitely did a lot of work with other options in different colors and other typefaces and everything, and also using different iconography and stuff like that. But this is kind of like the final version of it, and that's why I decided to put it on my Behance page. If you scroll down, I think we have one more, or I think that's it for this one. Yeah, and this is kind of like the site that they currently have, Ethic. This is kind of like the logo. It's imposed into their page. Of course, this is not going to be the final page. This is something that it's going to be developed with time, because they now have to implement this new brand into their system, social media, website, etc. So if you scroll down one more time, I think we have one more, and that's it.
All right.
Yeah, and now I'm sharing with you. This is on other backgrounds and stuff like that, so people can see how the logo works on different color backgrounds. And I just share another part of this.
Yep, got it.
Part of this amazing rebrand, which is kind of like the brand guidelines.
Yep. Okay, hold on.
No problem. Cool. And this was a fun, and this is why I accepted this job. Most of the time, I'm doing more UX stuff, more complex problems, and rather than doing like graphic stuff, but I do enjoy the visuals, and I do enjoy it because I did it, and I know how to do it, and I enjoy doing this because it's part of me. That's how I started my career as a graphic designer first. So this is kind of like the brand guidelines I put together for them too. So if you scroll down to the next kind of like slide, this is just to showcase, the main logo, what it is, and this is how they can use that iconography of that part of the logo by itself. Scroll down. This is the clearance zone. This is how you're supposed to. Yeah, this is how you're supposed to define like the space between the logo and whatever else is out there. If you're putting this into a print work, something that is going to be a brochure, or you have to have that clear zone in there, just to make sure there's enough space, padding, margin between the logo and whatever you put next to it. Then if you keep scrolling down, we have a minimum size. This is kind of like a minimum size of 108 pixels, so that way you still can see what it is. It says ethic. The iconography kind of like gets a little lost in there, but it doesn't hurt the actual branding per se. And then if you keep scrolling down, this is kind of like unacceptable usage. And this is just like 3 case scenarios, but then there are a lot more. People like to, where as designers, we send final logos and final formats to clients, but then clients, when they work with other designers, and they sometimes skew things, they make things larger, and they start like stacking things together, which are not the right use of this brand. And this is why it's very important to have the right usage. So that way, when somebody else takes that brand guidelines and wants to do a new app, they know how to use it instead of just like taking decisions without consulting like the rules that we put together for them. This is very, very important. So if you scroll down, we have 3 or 4 more. This is kind of like the typography usage. The Hebo, that's the one that we picked for the logo itself. And the Lato is kind of like a secondary typeface that you combine those two together and you can have a better like font pairing or typeface pairing. I always correct myself when I say typeface in fonts. Some people don't know this, but they are different. A font is just a specific set of like Hebo is a font and Lato is Hebo is a typeface and Lato is a typeface. But then a font is when it's part of the family. It's either regular, light, bold, italic. That is a font. It's the same family. It's the same typeface with different formats. Italic, and then the typeface is what makes it different. It's a different typeface. It's whether it's sans serif, serif in different levels. As you can see here, there are 2 different typefaces, not font, typefaces.
That's so confusing. Oh my gosh.
Yep. It is confusing. And to be honest, like I always say font, like since I started, I was like, oh, I have this font, Hebo font and Lato font. And that's the wrong way to call it. They're not fonts, they're typefaces.
Interesting.
If I have a Hebo typeface, I have different fonts, which are my bold, black, light, italics, bold italics. Those are my fonts. But people get confused all the time. And, not to blame anyone. It's just like the way we kind of like read information and how we interpret information.
Got it. Cool.
Yep. These are the color palettes. As you can see, you have the main and the primary colors. Always, when you're working on brand rebrand and all of that and creating a new brand, you have to make sure you provide them with the hex colors, the RGBs and CMYKs, because they need to be able to use this on different medias like print and, decals and, websites and softwares and mobile apps and stuff like that. So you got to make sure you provide them enough information so they will not be knocking at your door every time they need something. They already have that information in there. So primary colors, secondary colors, neutrals. Of course, I have to make, in order to create this, I have to test things out and make sure they all work as far as like contrast, ADA compliance, all of that. And this is something that, some designers do and others don't. That's okay, but you gotta pay attention to those little things when you're working on a brand and working on a project.
Totally. I bet like every designer's worst nightmare is to see something that you've created and then see someone like completely misuse it entirely. Yep. So I think that's, I can see how brand guidelines are like super important.
Super, super important. Yeah. These are some of the patterns, as you probably saw on the previous slide. Just to playing with it, just to giving some options, see how that looks. How that teal, they were in love with the teal color, so that was the way to go. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this project.
That's awesome. Yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah,
cool.
No problem. If you want to talk about something different, if you want to talk about UX, I definitely have on my portfolio like so many different things in there. Like I said before, I've been doing this for 16 years now. I have done so many different projects in my life that, I can't stop counting them. If I start counting them. What was that?
Can you show us your favorite project?
Let's see. Oof, that'll be a tough one. I will give you the link of my portfolio, and then we're going to go in there. We're going to see which one is fun. I can probably tell you which one is one of my favorite. Probably. Oh, was fun.
So before you were working at Dell, oh, I didn't even realize my camera wasn't back on. Before you were working at Dell, where were you? Were you freelancing doing UX?
Yes, I was freelancing for a while, but I had a contract with a company called Stash, which is an investing company, and I spent 4 months and a half with them. So it was a full-time job as a contractor, and it was insane because I used Stash for investment since 2017, and I got the job like pretty quick. I wasn't looking for it. They found me on LinkedIn or something. Then I had a conversation. Then we started talking, and then within a week or two, I had a job, and it was amazing. I mean, like I had an amazing time working with pretty talented product designers around the world because they have everything is remote, completely remote, and we had a blast creating new components for the app, creating new features and stuff like that. So that was a fun ride.
That's so awesome. I feel like so many of our designers are kind of freelance in the beginning because it's like, you need to build up your portfolio. You kind of take projects when they come to you. And some people prefer being freelance to, having a gig, but that can also be really emotional because it's like, I have a bunch of gigs and then I don't have any. I have a bunch of gigs and I don't have any.
And it's funny you mentioned that because I'm going to do a live probably within the next couple of weeks talking about the same thing. What are the pros and cons of freelance versus full-time? There are pros and cons. I have done it myself, and I have enjoyed both experiences. As of right now, I can tell you as of right now, being a full-time employee is better for me because of family and all of that.
Right.
But it all depends on your circumstances. Like if you have the time and if you have the energy and all, like you can definitely do the freelance. If you want more stability and, even though like no one is like safe in a job, but it's more stable. Like when you're employed, it's more stable. You have, yes, they say 9 to 5, but things have changed. It's not a 9 to 5 job, and it's not 9 to 5 you being in front of a computer. It's more flexible now. You can do more things, and yeah, I will definitely.
Are you able to work remotely? Like right now with Dell, are you working remotely?
Yep, completely, fully remote. Yeah, which is awesome.
Yeah.
There's a lot of freedom. There's a lot of freedom, and because of the climate, COVID and all that, a lot of companies have, done the switch. They were hesitant to do it at first. They were, no, we need to see people in the offices, but they find out that we can be proactive and we can also be, create and do stuff while we are working remotely, and it's not going to affect your day to day. It's not, because even like for us designers, it's a lot better because you get more freedom, and that means you are more creative. You can do more things. You can think about things. You can take a walk and be like, okay, I have a problem. I don't know how to solve it. Step away from your computer, go take a walk, and do something else, and then come back and, with a fresh set of eyes and do something. But when you work in an environment where we are designers, and I always say this, we need to be free in order for us to create, right? It's not like if you have your boss like next to you, just like yelling at you, or just like, oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing the whole day? Creativity is not going to come that easily. So, yeah, I've been in that boat before.
You're like, all right, I think I know what I want to do now. Yeah, I totally feel that. I feel that. So do you think that freelance, you were able to kind of hone your creativity and your skills to like help you get to where you are right now? Like, had you not freelanced, do you think you would have been able to jump right into something like how you are at Dell right now?
Yes, definitely. First job I had was a freelance gig. I remember. Well, the first job was I was in New York, and they were paying me $6.25 an hour.
Oh my
$6.25 an hour back
To do
in
US?
2000. No, doing. I was a junior graphic designer, something like
Okay.
that.
Okay.
So it wasn't like a lot, but it was something. It was to get me into the world. And then from there, I got a freelance gig to do a lot of retouching on models and stuff, which was awesome because I learned a lot of Photoshop back then. And then from there,
Photoshop at one point.
what was that?
So I feel like we all like have tried to dabble in Photoshop at one point, but not all of us were able to turn our skills into a successful career. So that's incredible.
Yeah, Photoshop was the only platform and software we had back then to design a website, it was Photoshop and that's it. So Photoshop, and then from there I jumped into a real job, like a real 9-to-5 job per se in New York City. But then from that moment, I started going from employee to being employed every time because I really liked that.
Yeah.
And then I got circumstances where, a company in 2007, I think, closed. And then I got to do freelance work, right? And then because I already knew a lot of people in the industry, they knew me, they know how I work. They were giving me a lot of work. So I wasn't necessarily, going to apply for a full-time job because I was making a lot of money by doing what I love. And it was in my own terms. And, I did it for 2 years freelance and it worked out. But then I went again to be employed because I need that connection. Working with other people, solving problems together. But everyone is different. Everyone is, they're going to find themselves like, I don't like to talk to people. I know people that said that. I don't like to talk to people. Yeah, and that's fine, and they're amazing designers and they can do it. Those people might not go into a full-time employee. They might do freelance because they have their own space and they know how to work. And that's good. Other people they love the human interaction. So
yep, I totally miss that. Like I used to be a barista, and my favorite thing was like making lattes and talking to customers and just like having all that interaction. And it's definitely completely different whenever you freelance because it's just like, okay, just here by myself. It's just me. And so that can get super lonely or super boring because you're just kind of like, okay, missing that human interaction. So I totally agree. There is something about going into a job where you've got like other people working with you, even if it's not physical, that can be really kind of zen, kind of calming.
Yeah. Yep. It's that having that support, even though like you don't think they're supporting, but you got support. Like let's say you work for a team of 3 designers, a UX manager, and then they do have your support because when you're working together towards a project or something, and you need the help from Danielle. Hey, can you send me those icons? Even that small thing, and you send them to me, I feel your support already, and I'm like, I'm part of something. They got my back. There's a connection there. So a lot of people, like, because of COVID, of course, we miss that.
Yeah, agreed. Absolutely. Okay, so this is your website pulled up now.
Yes.
Perfect.
Oh, look, that's me. All right. So if you scroll down, you're going to see my 4 top case studies. This is a Northampton Community College microsite. It's called Success Microsite. So it's not because it was successful, but scroll down. This is Penske used trucks. You've probably seen those yellow trucks in the city and stuff. So I redesigned the Penske used trucks website. that was a hell of a project. It was pretty big.
Was their website awful, or like what? Because okay, so I know all about Penske trucks. Like I'm from the Midwest, so I would like watch them drive by like on the highway all the time.
Yep.
So like, what did they use a website for though? I'm so curious. Like
their website was built probably like in 1995. Like it was
okay, that's what I wanted to say.
It was like done with tables and stuff like that, but they needed a new, they needed a rebrand of their, they wanted to showcase themselves as experts and also as, like professionals. Because other like research that we did, other competitors were having like, they were having mobile apps and everything up to date and everything. They didn't have an updated website. So they came to us to Liquid. I used to work for Liquid where I was the UX design manager there. And they came to us, wanting to have a redesign of their site. People go there to rent trucks and also to lease trucks, to buy trucks. So they needed that revenue. They needed a better user experience overall, and also update the visuals. And that's what we did for them. It was a fun project. It was a long project. There was a lot of research involved because they had an inventory. And inventory is very functional because every filter that you collect, things will change dynamically. So there was a lot of user research on that part. That was done by an amazing user researcher back at Liquid. So if you scroll down, this is Body Mark by Beck. This is a super fun project I worked on, working those markers that when they finally launched the product, I was able to design the launch page and do some marketing stuff in there for them as well. And then the last one,
very cool.
Yeah, that was a really cool project. I mean, it was pretty short.
What was that? Were those like body paint markers?
Yeah, those are body marks. So you can actually like tattoo yourself or somebody else, and the markers are like very safe to use in the skin and all that. So they did a launch because Big was one of our clients, and they decided to come to us to do the launch page for this. They had an e-com in there, like e-commerce site, so people can just order it through their site and all that. It was a fun project. It was short, but it was fun to work with.
Have we come up on your favorite one yet? Or have we passed it?
No, it's not even here.
Okay.
And then this is just a Blue Ridge mobile app, which is awesome. An amazing team of information architects, designers, me included. We did an amazing app, and we launched it, and we won awards and everything. So that was really cool. But if you want one of my favorite projects, if you go all the way to the top and click on work, this is one of my favorite projects as a graphic designer. So here are some of other projects that I've worked for and have done in the past. So if you scroll down, I think it's all the way to the bottom. It's all the way to the bottom. It's another app that I created, websites that are live right now. There it is, the photo mosaic. Like if you click on that,
wow,
this is one Pfizer. This is for Pfizer, and this was back in 2007, if I don't mistake. This is by far one of my favorite projects. So the project was to create this photo mosaics of people with people. So from far, these are window displays, right? These are window displays. This is on 42nd and Broadway or something like that. Don't remember. But if you scroll down, you scroll down, you're gonna see, these are like community partner. Look, she's an employee of Pfizer back then, and then we built her face and everything with little images of employees.
Wow.
So they provided us.
Did it take forever or what?
What was that?
I said, did that take forever or what? Like, that looks incredible. That's so detailed.
That's so detailed. But listen, like if you scroll down, let me see if you can. Let me see if I have more stuff in there. This by far is one of my favorite projects. So you see the difference. Like you see how big they are, right? This is when they are mounted and everything. Keep scrolling down. I'm going to tell you a little secret. This is kind of like up close, right?
Wow.
But the way we did this, we selected, I don't know, it was about like 20, 25 people, right? 25 people, high resolution photos of those employees. And then they provided us more than 10,000 images of employees.
Wow.
So what I did, I remember we rented like 7, 8 Macs, and then we used a program called Photo Mosaic for Mac or something like that back in 2007. Then we created a library with all those images and started creating those profiles automatically.
Oh,
so the program will take, because this was for print, as you can see, they needed to be in high res. So the program, we have to divide everything into quadrants, and then each of the sections, we have to render that section of her face, right, in a computer, and then run another section of her face in another computer, and then in another computer, and another computer. Then I have to do the composite and put them together. And then some of them, we did 2 runs, one for big images and one for small images. And then we started putting everything together, images, big images, small images, and then we have to mask it out and delete some of those big images. So it was a hell of a project, but it was so much fun. And the final results were amazing because people just love like those mosaics. Like if you scroll down, you can see more. This was done by a group of, we were about 7 people, like for this project. But this was,
it looks really incredible. That's really that was a really cool idea. Because I've seen pixelated images before, but never like something that's actually made up of basically the people who made this person, so good at what they do. It's like, here are the employees who kind of brought you to where you are, made you who you are. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, and then that was kind of like the message behind it, and the whole point is like to build, like we build each other, right? We build each other, and we make you grow. Whether if you're a minority, if you're Black, if you're white, if you're Asian, if you're Latino, if you're it doesn't matter. We have the power to build you up. So that's what we did, and it was so amazing. We have other concepts too, but this is the one that won, and then I was so happy that I was part of it.
That's so awesome. Okay, I want to make sure that we leave some time for Q&A, so I'm going to let our other teammate jump on, since she's passionate and loves UX, and just kind of ask a couple of questions.
Definitely.
Awesome. That was quite an amazing project that you just shared, Ruben. And I'm curious, when it comes to your either UX design or your graphic design, which I see you've done so much of in the past, where do you get your inspiration?
Ooh, that's a question that I get all the time too. And this is awesome. Let me just play replay. Beep. I get it. It's insane. I get it from everywhere. It's insane. And this is something that I have developed within time, of course. Some people go into online and see stuff. I still do, of course. But I see my creativity comes from everywhere, my inspiration. For example, this hat, right? It's a typeface. And I like it. And I know it's a sans serif. I love the stroke. I can use this in something else. And that's the beauty of inspiration. You can get it from any, a book cover, for example. You see typefaces and you see an illustration in the background. What I do all the time, and I do it on my phone all the time in my computer, every time I see something that catch my eyes, I take a screenshot and I put it in a bucket that says inspiration. Because when I go inside that folder, I'm like, oh, I can do this, what mixed with this, and then I can do it in a way that works for the product or the project that I'm working on. That's how I get my inspiration. It's for everything, like even like Netflix, for example. Like if you watch Netflix, every time you scroll down to see one of those shows or movies, they have an amazing cover with different illustrations and photography and stuff like that. Stuff like that. It's what we need as designers. We need to see in order to create new stuff. There's a great book called Still Like an Artist from Austin Kleon. I definitely recommend that to everyone to read it, because it's like we do that all the time. We still like artists, and we have to still like artists, not just still straight up like copy and paste whatever you see. That does not still like an artist. It's more like still stuff that you've seen and create something new out of it. That's how you kind of like innovate and create a new stuff.
Wow, that's really cool. Thank you for sharing that. As you mentioned, book, are there any other books that you would personally recommend for either graphic design, UX design, UI design?
Definitely. I have more than 10 books that I would recommend for people. And I always share them with people that are starting like their career in UX. There's one called Don't Make Me Think. There's another one called The Design of Everyday Things. There's another one called Lean UX. There's another one called Build Better Products. Another one called UX Bites. Another one called Keep Going. And these are some of the books that, will help you be a greater designer. Because people nowadays, they just read stuff from the internet and they think they know what it is. But when they actually get a job, they're like lost, because they don't know processes. They don't know like what the terminology is. And these books will help you understand all those things. They will help you how to think as a product designer, as a UX designer as well.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Now, I know that you were a graphic designer for a while and then you switched in, but what actually made or inspired you to get into UX design, that particular discipline?
Yeah. Back in 2007, that's when kind of like when I made the switch. I was getting tired of print work. I was getting tired of just like doing print work, like creating a book, creating flyers, creating stationery, creating business cards and all of that. I was getting tired of it. And then I kind of like leaned towards one of my mentors, where I was like, I want to do more digital stuff, because we're going to move. I kind of like envisioned myself, and I was thinking ahead of the future. I was like, everything's going to be digital back in 2010. Yeah, everything's going to be more digital websites and mobiles and all of that. And I decided to move and make the switch and start learning. That's where they teach you a little bit about coding in college, but then I started teaching myself how to code. And I was, those nights, remember like coding a page and this was not working. What happened? It's a comma. No, delete that. Then because of that, I kind of like fell into that bucket of UX and digital world and started like reading about it. Because UX has been with us for a long time. It's just like we never called it what it was. You know what I mean? We never called it UX design, but it was already there. I always put this into perspective and put this example where, a bottle of ketchup, it's, you open it and you go and you tap and you tap, there is already an experience, right? There is an experience already in there. But then somebody else came along and created a product where you don't have to go open, tap, tap. You just have to squeeze. So you see what I mean? Like it's just making products better. There is an experience already in place. It's just up to us to make it better. And that's when I fell in love with that world where I was like, oh, so I can make better experiences. I can make things work in a different way. I remember when I was a graphic designer, I used to care. I was selfish, and a lot of us are. We were selfish back then to think about the aesthetics of things, how things look. That's what matters. And I remember I was like that. I was like, I don't care if it works or if it doesn't work. That's the problem of the engineers. I wanted to look cool, right? But I didn't know better. But then when I make the switch to UX, I saw the thing in a 360 degree, and I was like, oh my God, I have to care about all of these things. I have to care about the customers. I have to care about the experience. I have to care about my colleague, my engineer that is building this. And that's why it's very important.
Wow. So tell me, how do you put yourself into the mind of the consumer or the user? How do you do that?
It's difficult because we are biased. Sometimes if we were using a product that, for example, I used to work for this company called Stash. I was telling Danielle that, it's an investing app, and I used that app for a long time. And then I got to work on that app. So imagine me using that same product every day because I invest, but also I work on that product every single day. So I had to separate myself and of course, had to talk to, other engineers and and I have to separate myself because it's not only me, it's thousands of people. And that, are probably frustrated with a functionality that I think is wrong, but maybe it's not wrong for 1,000 other people. Maybe I'm seeing it because I'm critical and I'm thinking as a UX rather than being a customer first. It's hard to separate those two, but you learn how to do that. You learn how to kind of like separate yourself from that product and just think it as be empathetic. And that's one of the key points to be a great user UX designer. You have to have empathy, not just for customers, but for everyone, your colleagues, the product itself, for yourself. You don't have to judge yourself so bad. So be empathetic, and it is very important for this field.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Oh.
Okay, you guys, so we're getting ready to come to the close of our stream. Before we do, Ruben, if there's anything else you wanted to share, I think people should know about UX design or about you or about your work, anything like that, please let us know. If you want us to drop anything in the chat, we'll do that too. And then to everyone who is watching, if you haven't introduced yourself yet in the chat, please do so, because we're getting ready to announce a winner for a year of Adobe Creative Cloud, which is great. So,
Awesome.
Ruben, is there anything else you want to share with us?
Yeah. If you want to start this career, this make the switch, the first thing I would say, I will give you some advice. I always do it on my Instagram account, which is UI UX Creative. So if you want to make the switch or start like in UX, first thing that I suggest you to do is to read. I can tell you I'm not a reader. And when I tell you I'm not a reader, is that I'm not reading books every day. But if it's something that is interesting to me, I read it. First thing you need to do is read UX books. That's the first thing you need to do, is read books. Second one, I would say, take a course, online course, whether it is on Skillshare, Domestika, Coursera, wherever. You just have to educate yourself on the subject, which is UX design. The third one, I would say, do some real world UX projects. If you don't have any, go to your local businesses and offer them your services. Make sure like you say something like, oh, your website can have some improvement. And by improving your website, have more value to your customers and everything. Just pitch your idea to them and just do those work and put them into your portfolio. Have a strong portfolio with case studies that showcase a story. You tell the story through your case studies. How do you do it? Why was that a problem? How you fix a problem? How you came across that? Is data is going to help you? All of that stuff is going to help you be a better and a greater designer. Be passionate about it. Be empathetic. Be patient for sure. And also be humble. You have to be humble, because you're gonna find out some egos along the way that is not gonna help you as a person or professionally. But if you're humble, your humbleness is gonna teach them a lesson. And that's pretty much it. I mean, follow me on Instagram at UI UX Creative. I will be dropping a masterclass, UI design masterclass, within a month or so. So stay tuned for that.
Right.
Thank you, Danielle, and thank you, Serena, for this amazing opportunity to share part of my life portfolio in everything.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you.
Okay. So we're going to go ahead and spin the wheel for our year of Adobe Creative Cloud. You can do the honors. We'll wait for you.
Are you going to share it?
No. You go ahead. Do it.
All right. Go.
You let me know. We'll do a drum roll for you.
Okay, let me pull it up. This is awesome.
And whoever wins, I'm going to go ahead and message you. Oh, yep. Perfect. All right.
Yeah. Here we go.
Whoa.
Oh, is it Alicia? Congrats. I bet you're glad you introduced yourself right then. Well done. Perfect.
Oh, awesome.
All right. Well, Alicia, I'm going to inbox you and we will get that year of Adobe Creative Cloud to you. Congratulations.
That's awesome. Congrats.
This has been so much fun. I think we can spin the wheel one more time so we have a t-shirt.
Oh, sure. This is fun. I like doing that.
Let's do this. I know. I love to spin wheels too.
Yes. Okay. Let me share again. Awesome. Okay. All right.
Spinning time. Here we go.
Whoa! Nice.
All right, J.O. Sweet. All right. Well, I will get that to you guys. So much fun. So glad to have done this. Thank you again, Ruben, for tuning in. We're obviously going to be following your work and what you're up to, and we will see you on the gram.
All right. See you
Everyone
guys.
who hasn't followed us on Instagram, please do so at All Black Creatives. And you can also head to our website if you would like to become a member and possibly be a guest streamer with ABC Studios as well.